today in the studio, I've got a real treat. Rob LoCascio. Rob, appreciate you coming to the show. For those of you that may not have heard of him, he's the founder and chief executive officer at LivePerson Inc., which is ultimately, I would imagine, what you're known for mostly, which is kind of inventing chat damn near, right?
Yeah, I invented when you chat online on a website. If you've ever done that, I invented that back in '97.
Dude, that's huge. Just like someone saying, "Yeah, I invented the internet," or I invented email.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's interesting because at the time it was like this thing, and then when you realize like billions of people have used your invention in the world, and you built a company around and took the company public. At the time I wasn't sure how big it could be, but it sure turned out big.
Not to mention, you're like one of the longest standing founding CEOs in the tech world. Usually that's like a 3-year position.
Yeah, I'm the second longest standing right now, public company technology CEO. When Bezos steps down, there's NVIDIA CEO and then myself. And he was a year ahead of me when he started his company and then when he took his company public. So yeah, we're kind of the last man. And from the .com bubble,
when do you get
too many of us left?
When do you get the credit? Like from the second you go public or the second your company was started? Because I started my company. Oh no, in '99. You're before that anyway.
95, and then we went public. So we're public. We're running public companies. But '95, and then Amazon was started before in '95. I'm November of '95. Amazon started, I think, January. NVIDIA CEOs around the beginning of '95, and then I took my public company 2000. They took theirs in the '90s. So I'm about a year behind.
And just for reference, listeners, I started my company in '99, and that's when the internet just came out. So like, dude, you were like right on the heels of internet.
Yeah, it was, you know what it was like being back then. It was a different world than today. Making a website was hard, and creating in that medium was really difficult. But guys like us, we kind of laid a foundation, and obviously there's been many successes beyond that. But the version 1, that group in the '90s, were kind of like the original punk bands. That's how I kind of look at it.
Hey, how do you like being the CEO of a publicly traded company?
I've had 80 quarters. I think it's 80 something quarterly calls. So I'll just be straightforward. A lot of people bitch about it. The average tenure is 5 years of a public company's CEO. So it has its own, challenges. But I'm a founder, and when you're a founder, you bring a different energy to it. I'm also the largest shareholder of the company, still one of the largest. And so you have your blood in it. It's different that if I was hired by the board of directors and this is my job, like my wife, especially, 2 weeks before the quarter, just, can't take me. It's just, you're just always worried and this thing. But I find it an honor. When I was 13 years old, I picked a book up out of the library, and it talked about public companies. I didn't even know what a public company was, and I was so fascinated. And I thought, this is like the Olympics. Like, if you can make it into this group and run companies that are public, it's the Olympics. And it is, because every quarter it's like a track meet. You show up, you're timed, you're measured, and publicly, good or bad, your shit's out there. And that's why a lot of people don't like it. It has its, if you're private, you can make it all up, but you're public, every quarter, whatever's there is there.
You guys do a lot of M&A?
No, we're like builders, we're inventors. Like I'm really proud of the fact that not only do we invent chat, and then lately we pioneered the use of AI and automation, what are called chatbots. That was 5 years ago, and messaging, and we continue to pioneer. So we've bought about 13 or 14 companies over 20 something years, but I'm really proud that, we're builders, we're inventors, and I come from like a line of entrepreneurial, my family, and everyone had patents. And I just think there's something about building something. Like, God put us on earth to create. and there's a pride in that. So we don't do we're not an M&A machine trying to buy our way. We grew 38% last quarter, but we did it organically. So we're a machine of organic growth and building.
So this company did did you say $4 billion in revenue?
No, we're $4 billion, about a $4 billion market cap company. We're on about a $500 million run rate, growing at about 38% a year right now.
Damn, dude. So if you exited right now, you'd be just freaking, would you be hitting the multiple Bs?
You know, I don't really have to worry about much on that side. You know, it's
how does that make you feel? Did you grow up with money or just average?
I was a Long Island kid. Like my parents worked, and I mean, I grew up just middle class American. Well, my grandparents came over from Italy, but yeah, I didn't have much. And then I started a company, and I ended up losing everything on top of it, of not having much when I was 27 years old. So when I started this company, I was broke. I mean, in debt broke, and I couldn't even afford an apartment. I had to sleep on a couch in this little dinky office I had. And so I just, I never, I was never had wealth, when I was a kid.
And right now, if you wanted to, you could hand somebody a freaking Lambo, $500,000 check, loan them the money to start their business. There's a big difference between, the feeling that you and I both grew up with, which was just, nothing really. I had food, but we weren't rich. Now to having the ability to access money. And to me, I'm nowhere close to $1 billion, but that's where I'm headed. I just sit there sometimes and think, dude, I wonder how these people feel, like Bezos and like people with real wealth. Like they could do damn near anything they want. How does that make you feel? Is it surreal?
I don't really look. I mean, it's, when I was about 33 years old, finally the stock, started to go up a little bit. I mean, after the .com, the stock went from, we were $8 a share, went public, went down to 7 cents a share. So the whole company was worth $2 million. And when I was like 33 years old, the stock was like $2 or $3, and it was enough to take something off. But I never think about it, I have freedom and I can buy things, and I have a nice house here and a house in the city, and I travel well, but I think there's a disease with it, and you have to be careful, and especially I didn't come from it, and I just think you got to be very careful, and then your whole family can I got young kids. I got a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old, and someone once told me after I went public, a guy said, who was wealthy, said he found some study where the children of the richest families and the poorest families look alike. They're usually uneducated, they don't work, and they are drug abusers, or so, they abuse themselves. I'm saying, I'm not saying all of them, but the groups. So you can be wealthy and be very poor, and I just think you just got to be careful with it. And I give a lot away. I have a foundation, and I help. We feed families in the city during Thanksgiving. We do a lot, but with my family foundation. But I don't know. I don't get into it. Yeah, I've got a great car, and I do stuff. I take care of myself and my family, but I never was into it. I'm not a hedge fund guy. Like these people, it's about making money from money, and money is the object. Like I don't know about you, but it's never been an object of mine, especially when you never grew up with it.
So for those of you listening, if you guys want to follow him, make sure you just go to @Rob LoCascio, LoCascio, LoCascio. Rob LoCascio on Instagram or all over social media. You can also check out his product at liveperson.com. The only reason I say that is because if you want to see a multi-billion-dollar freaking private or publicly traded company and its CEO that's been there since 95, that's how you do it. Do you ever drop stuff on social media, or are you kind of private?
No, I've got a podcast too. I have a podcast called Over the Wall. So I'm doing a lot. I kept it pretty private, but like in the last 6 months, I'm like, I want to get out there, and also it like, this, but it's hard and it sucks some days. And a lot of times when people look in, like they could see that, oh my God, this guy's had this company and it's done great and da da da. And the bottom line is like, it's been like I've seen the windy road. I've been through so much stuff to get here. And now I'm out pretty much like trying to tell entrepreneurs, like, take the journey. You're not alone. I think like there's so many times you feel alone and you're like, this sucks. I must be the only person who made this mistake. And you realize you're not. And so successful people, you know, they just work hard. They don't quit. But I'm out there. So I've got I've got 11 shows I put up on my podcast so far. And I think it's pretty cool. We're getting a good response to it. So no, I'm out there. I'm out there right now.
Yeah, it's probably getting good response because you're knowledgeable, and that's what people are listening to these podcasts for, man. They're wanting to learn. Mine's blowing up mainly because I bring on badasses like you and talk about real shit. And then we talk about like, well, what'd you do? And how'd you handle that? And then people are like, shit, dude, that's helping me. So my question.
I think you're right, Brad. Like most people, I really can't take, there's this whole group of motivational speaking people, and I'm not slighting them, but it's all about like, and I follow them. Some are very impressive people and they have big followings, but it's all about like rah, get your ass out of bed. Like, you're going to make it work today. Stay positive. And I'm like, most of these people have not run a company, like a real company, and know it's hard and have responsibility for, like, we have 1,500 employees like around the world, and the responsibility of all that versus like, I'm an individual motivationally speaking to you. And I'm not putting it down, by the way. This is needed. And like, I went to Tony Robbins at the beginning of the company because I needed it. I was so down in the dumps. I needed like my brain reprogrammed. But I think a lot of the stuff for entrepreneurs, you're just gonna think like, I feel shitty. I don't feel good today. Like, I don't feel like, and then you hear a guy like, get up, you gotta get your ass out of bed, be positive. You're like, I don't feel good. I don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah, not to mention, man. I mean, it just sometimes it continues to pound down on you, especially in my mind. Building a team and finding a good team is more difficult, at least for me. I've got, you know, a small nucleus, but like, how do these people find these kick-ass teams where every single department head or division is perfectly ran by all these kick-ass people and they're all going the same direction and the culture's amazing? And then everyone always says, well, it's the leader. And I'm like, well, shit, dude, I got to figure out how to become that leader then, because I'm having a hell of a time finding and building a kick-ass team. How'd you do it?
Look, it's like, I think of like Phil Jackson or something. Like, first of all, there's no one team. That's the thing. Like, I've had, 4 or 5 teams over 20-something years, 25 years. So like, you build teams based on the need that you have today. But, where people want to work for the vision, especially high quality people, like, they're not working for the money. Usually, especially my field, like, everyone's pretty well paid. And if you're really good, you're really well paid and you can go anywhere. But I think, the goal is to just you want to get people that, would actually take the job without getting paid. Like, you want them to think, I'd be part of this on the vision alone. And then comes, well, man, I can make a ton of money riding this vision. And there's nowhere else in the world that this vision can happen. And that's the key. People have choice. And they got to know that I can't find this vision anywhere else in the world. And I believe in this person. Like, this guy, he'll do anything. In my case, I have a track record of kind of doing anything. Like, I'll go through walls. I'll do anything to stay alive and get to the vision. And so people could say, wow, you've got longevity. I'll take the ride with you. But, the hardest thing is that you do have to, over time, change out the team. The Chicago Bulls were under Jordan, and still not, they didn't last forever. The band breaks up sometimes and the coach has to find other people. That's the toughest thing I find. That's the toughest thing.
What about AI? You're working a lot since 2018 in AI, and I think AI eventually is going to be, much more prevalent than we know. And I think there's bigger things behind the curtains that people don't even realize. What have you seen in AI? Like, is it coming huge, fast?
Yeah, I mean, I think people get there's so much. It's like AI is like, it's such a generalized term, but I mean, my vision is to build my end state is I want to put something in people's homes that they can trust and that loves and cares for them, and that they can take their most important intentions in life and get this AI to help them fulfill them. And that's really what we're doing. We put out a bank called Bella about 3 months ago, and you can go to bellaloves.me, but Bella is the first part of that vision. And we have this bank, but it's Bella's inside the bank. And Bella surprises and delights its members. Like when you use your debit card, sometimes Bella pops up and like, oh, the coffee's on me. And then people are posting on social media, oh, I was having a lousy day and Bella, picked up my coffee or bought me lunch. And there's, I think the power of AI is obviously it's about scale of connections and scales of process, but I believe it's something that can, like, the scale of surprise and delight, the scale of conversational, having these really intimate conversations with people and personalized conversations. And that's kind of the vision I have. And one day I want to wipe Alexa off the map. It's like matter of fact, the guy who ran Alexa's here, he's my CTO, Alex Spinelli. He came 3 years ago, and a lot of that team's here now. And I brought Alex on because he understood conversational AI. But I don't believe like Alexa is the end state of this, the thing we need in our home. It's like this, it's kind of boring. Turn on the lights, play music. I don't need it to play music.
She's better than Siri.
Siri sucks.
Yeah. Alexa's better than Siri. But I agree. It's how you use the technology that I think matters. Because again, I mean, we've got some interactive video creation technology we created. I can give it to somebody. They don't use it at all. It doesn't do anything. I can give it to somebody else. They can use it in the most unbelievable, effective marketing campaign anybody's ever seen in that industry. So it's like, just like, how do you leverage the technology is the key. And I like what you're saying. Let me go back though. I thought I heard you say Bella Bank.
Yeah, Bella. That's we have a bank we built.
So bank for who? Everybody?
For everybody, yeah. It's a U.S. bank, and we built it. And
but I mean, I can go put my money in Bella.
Yeah, you can put your money in Bella. Then you get this. So you get this really cool.
Did you guys build a bank because you got so much damn money? That's the best way to do it.
We built a bank because I found personally.
Show the card again, only because when I talk, my screen switched. I want to see the card.
Rainbow. It's like kids love this card. Like we love rainbows. Like my daughter, she wants to hold the Bella card. And the Bella is about this idea of love, tenderness, trust in this card. Yeah. So when you swipe this card, sometimes on your app, Bella pops up and wants to do something, pay for something or give you something. And we found most banks are just, they don't care about you. And we wanted to build something. I felt that we could use our platform. It's built off of our platform, but why not build a bank? Why not put something in the world, a consumer experience that could show the power of what I've been talking about for years? And I just felt like I want to have a bank to put my money into. and we've had tens of thousands of people sign up in the last couple of months. And I'm really proud of the work that we're doing there, to kind of change the game on not only banking, but the idea of AI.
Where do you open the account?
Online. So you go online, you download the app, and you go through a process, couple of minute process, and then you're shipped the card, and then you can start doing things within this Bella. It's not just a checking account. It's got, like I said, there's a thing called Karma. We built a thing called Karma that you can put like $20 in at a time. And Bella takes the Karma, like the $20 or pieces of it, and goes out and helps people who are also part of the Bella membership, part of the bank. So sometimes when you swipe your card, Brad, somebody will pop up like, hey, Brad, Jane's paying, for your lunch today. And you're like, who the hell's Jane? And then you can like text back Jane, thanks. I don't even know who you are, but thanks for paying for my lunch. So we built this community of how people can help each other. And it really works in this day and age. Like there's not enough of that. And we use AI. We use AI to create the connections, to decide how we're going to be, doing the surprise and delight and the conversational parts. You can message Bella and talk to her or him. Depends on how you want to look at Bella. But that's what we do.
Is Bella a wholly owned subsidiary of your live person?
Yeah. So Bella, we own Bella 100% right now.
So and you're a publicly traded company.
We are public traded.
So I can go buy your stock if I thought Bella was going to blow up.
Yeah. So that's the goal, and I think it will blow up. I
do too, dude. Yeah, dude. Based on what you're saying, I'm telling you right now, like my wife would love that bank. I would like that bank. I mean, I would want to design my own card. That's the only thing I have to say. But the shit you're talking about, Robert, is freaking amazing. And that karma idea, like these ideas are great. The fact that they're powered by AI, banking right now needs to change. You're right. A lot of these big banks, they don't give a rat's dick, dude. They're not giving you anything. Matter of fact, you're finding out they're taking $2.99 for this and $2.99 for that. And it's like, it doesn't matter to some people, but some people, dude, those add up.
But the thing is, like, we don't want to be a bank. We looked at it very different. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't need to make money being a bank. It's not our goal. That we wanted to build a consumer experience around your money. That's just about. It's like your money's either going to be in what we call a bank, or you're going to keep it under your mattress, or you're going to put someplace else. And we felt like we want to create a community around your money. And then once we have your money, then we want to help you deploy it. And it's the next thing we're going to bring. We're going to bring merchants and companies, businesses, small businesses. We're signing up right now, small businesses that you can connect with that also care about you. Like, that when you buy from them and you use your Bella card, that they're going to give you care and love that you want, not that you expect, not the stuff that you get. Even we love Amazon, they can deliver overnight, but like, I'd rather get individual merchants that care about me. And that's really the next stage of Bella is having these very cool merchants, small businesses that would love you too.
Dude, how does it feel being able just to, start cool shit like this? Because I've always, thought to myself, man, wouldn't it be cool if one day you could just have like a incubator, you're just coming out with ideas, and if you throw a couple million at it and it fails, oh well, but it just sounds like you're in a freaking playland for an inventor.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have resources, and it's fun. I mean, I try. It's about time. I don't want to waste time. So ultimately, but we do a lot of test and learning. We have the ability to hire great people, and then like the Bella thing. I'll tell you where it came from. It was really funny. My CTO and I were meeting with some big banking clients in Europe, and the meetings were just not working for us. Like one of the banking customers, the president of the bank said, I said, "What's your goal of this bank?" And he said, "Not to be known. I don't want to be known." It's crazy. It was like, I don't want anyone to know we're here. Like, I just want customers to use our stuff, but they never really talk to us. And I was like, whoa. So my CTO and I walked out, and an Italian guy in Milan built a bank on top of our platform called Buddy Bank. And he built this cool concierge service on the bank. And great guy. And he calls me up, literally. It's like I walked out the door of this meeting. I'm like so frustrated. I'm like, this is crazy. And he calls me, "Rob, I'm leaving Buddy Bank. I'm being recruited to build Buddy Bank on my own." And so I said to him, by a venture capital firm, I said, "Angelo, come here. Like, please, come join me and build the bank on top of our platform. You don't have to worry about technology because we're technologists. And I'll get you to fulfill that vision." And he had this vision of this loving, caring thing. And we both shared it. We had this mind meld when I first met him about a year before that. And I just said, just do it. I'll fund it. We'll do it and we'll make it happen and we'll change the world of banking. We'll bring love to banking. We'll literally bring love to banking. No one's done it. We'll do it.
Dude, that's amazing. I think that bank is going to be huge. That sounds awesome. The AI is just amazing to me. The shit you can do with it. Is it pretty much just really quick computing?
No, with the power, yes. AI allows you to take, you got to think of it like this, like there are things we do in our life that we could have something assist us in doing it. And in the business world, there's a lot of processes that are done that AI allows us to scale those processes without a bunch of humans doing it. And by the way, most of this work is lousy work. So I go back, like our core products are about contact centers and the ability to communicate with an AI and you message to it versus talking to someone on the phone and being put on hold. And we can take what's sort of a mundane task and have a machine do it at some scale. But in our world, in the normal world, I go back to like the idea of this AI in your house. AIs are here. I think ultimately AI is here to assist us in our life, not harm us. You know, Elon Musk always talks about like AI is an existential threat to humanity.
Why does he say that?
Because he has this, because he believes that AI will end up replicating the human brain, which I had a big talk with Deepak Chopra on this. Like the brain is beyond there's consciousness also, this idea of that you're outside yourself. So, but the idea of if an AI can replicate a human brain and then scale thought and the ideas, we also have a lot of bias. We've had wars. We've had a lot of things. We're prejudiced. We kill each other. So like the idea that you can replicate that and that behavior, that's what he believes. I don't believe that. Like, humans have a lot more than just the reptile brain. We have consciousness. And for a machine to replicate consciousness, this is a whole other discussion. But, consciousness is something outside of ourselves that looks at ourselves at the same time that we're here. So this is not our brain in the synaptical connections. There's something else that a machine, I think, is going to have a problem understanding, because AI is based on data.
That's right.
Big data sets. This consciousness, I don't know if it has a big data set.
Yeah, well, I think, if you set a program for a computer to keep learning and getting more intelligent, when does it become self-aware? And that's when it's like, those movies, where the evil computer finally takes over and it's like, you guys are the problem. Sorry, extinction beginning. And it's like, we are the problem, but at the end of the day, can someone, I agree with you. That's pretty far-fetched to think that, like, especially, who made us? Who do you think made us? How can that be replicated? I don't think a computer can do it.
I don't think so either. And so I think, there's like this, it's always, I think it's people's perspective. Elon Musk has his perspective because he was just a perspective on life. I think there's so much more to humanity than a machine replicating us. I will say though, there's a lot of stuff that we do in our life that just sucks. And people do sucky jobs and we have this fear that they're going to be replaced by machines, which happens. And then there's this concept that people could go on and get another job, which needs to happen. It's like 100 years ago, there were jobs that don't exist today. They're replaced by machines. And so this is just naturally what humans do. But we tend not to try to hurt ourselves. We're pretty smart about that. We do things with the environment. And we're idiots about stuff like this, but I don't know if we're going to program a machine that wants to hurt us.
What about autonomous vehicles? Those obviously exist already. You think eventually humans won't be allowed on the road because we'll be in the way of AI vehicles?
Yeah, I many years ago, I drove in one of these cars, an Uber in Pittsburgh. I think it's like 7 years ago, and I was like, car driving is done. Car driving is done. And the idea of like owning a car versus a car shows up and, that's a really good perspective on AI. Think about a car and the processing power of awareness of what's going on around you and then be able to avoid hitting somebody and driving on the road. When I did that car ride, it was like 5 years ago, so it was early on autonomous vehicles. The guy didn't have his hands, and this car was like knew a dog was coming over, like crossing with the guy, and so we shouldn't be driving. It's fun to drive a car if you have a really nice car, but there's times where you don't really need to drive a car, and then there won't be accidents. There's a bunch of stuff that happens with cars. So I think in the AI world, that's obviously a big part of what's going on right now on the development side.
What's your thoughts on Bitcoin?
My wife gave me a birthday cake on last Saturday is my birthday, and it was a Bitcoin birthday.
You got a lot of Bitcoin?
I have enough that my wife gave me a birthday cake. That was a gold birthday cake with Bitcoin. logos on it.
Bitcoin being the reward you get when you add a block to the blockchain, right? As a kind of a reward. But what about, I meant more like crypto, meaning all these coins that are popping up. You think they're all going to last?
Yeah, I have a lot of, I put a lot in crypto. I mean,
you got Doge? You got Doge?
I have Doge. I've got about 10 different, I've got 10 or 15 different coins. I believe I've been pretty deep into it for maybe a half a year. And then I've been meeting with I had on my podcast, Anthony Dorio, who was one of the founders of Ethereum. He's one of the original founders. And, you know, I've been meeting with a lot of the people in this. And so the actual technology stack is pretty extraordinary. And if you look at blockchain and the future of how we'll work, by the way, I'm blown away by this idea of these distributed organizations, the DAOs, they call them, this idea that there's no employees in a company, but there's people in the world working on your technology and their reward is to get a coin. They're mining coins. This is the future of work. I mean, there's in these companies that are now have market coin caps of billions and billions of dollars. They may have 25 employees, but they got 2,000 or 3,000 people around the world who are working on their technology stacks, who, as they work, get the reward. And they can be in Bali, they can be anywhere. They consider themselves like self-sovereign. They're self-sovereign individuals. They don't need to be part of a corporation or a centralized group. I think it's extraordinary, and there's some great technology in there, and that's where I've been investing.
What's the top coin you'd have someone go get right now if they were smart?
Filecoin.
What is it?
Filecoin.
F-I-L-E?
File. Yeah, like Filecoin, like a file. And so why Filecoin is so powerful? Filecoin is a technology. Well, the coin isn't, but under the technology is about storage. And so we know in the digital world, you need to store your data. And there's a guy, Juan, I forgot his last name, but he's the CEO. He's a young guy. And he thought of this idea of like letting the world create AWSs. So basically, there's thousands upon thousands of people in the world that have created a mini AWS. And when you're doing like NFTs or you want to save data on the block, using on the blockchain, you save your data not on a blockchain, you save it to on something that is this Filecoin, IPFS it's called, interplanetary file system. And that's where you save your data. And the interesting thing is when you save your data there, you need to pay the person who's managing the servers a coin or a series of coins. So Filecoin, why I think it's great is that it has utility. You get a coin by setting up a service and letting other people use it. You mine it, and then people who want to use your service to save their files pay you, and it's all using Filecoin. So I put a fair amount in there because 10 years from now they want to compete with AWS, and that's the cool thing about a lot of these companies. They want to rid the world, and they're doing it with a smile. But they don't think AWS, they don't think Amazon and Facebook and Google and any other big tech that has centralized power should be around. They think centralized power is bad, and they're correct. Terrible.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, some of the shit Facebook's doing and some of those companies are doing, it's like unbelievable. But then again, I don't blame them. Why? Because I'm as fair as they get, man. If I built a platform and you came talking shit and I deleted it, what happened to free speech? Dude, don't confuse like the First Amendment with the terms of services. See what I'm saying? Like, I'll kick your ass off my platform. Why? It's mine. But when you get that big, man, holy shit, dude, you got a lot of power. I like that. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, I like the idea of the decentralized currency and decentralized, control and power. It's, to me, when I heard of the blockchain, I finally understood why I think it's going to stick around. Like Bitcoin, when someone first offered me Bitcoin, I think it was like 50 cents. And I said, that's stupid. Next time it was $7. I said, dude, I don't get it. Like, who takes it? How do I spend it? And they're like, well, other people on the internet. And I'm like, dude, who? Will they take it? Will they take it? Will the world take it? No. Well, then why do I want the shit? I passed again. Then somebody wanted to buy something from my company with Bitcoin when it was 600, and it was about a $80,000 deal. And I said, I'll take Bitcoin. So I got a wallet and took my first 100 and some odd Bitcoin, and they were $600. And within 2 months, the guy said there'll be 1,000, and they certainly were. And then they went all the way up to 19,000, and I was shitting my pants like, dude, I need to buy Bitcoin. And then they started falling. Remember that? And I'm like, oh, and I sold all my Bitcoin. I still have 8 of them, but I sold the majority of my soul because I'm like, holy Christ, we're going down. So I dumped them all like a dumbass, and then realized you can't dump them all very quickly, which is probably a good thing because you could cause your own crash if you have too many of them. Anyway.
Not now. I mean, you could put in. I mean, if you go to Coinbase Pro, you could put in $10 million on a click.
Really?
Be trading. I mean, the liquidity in that coin, I will say, is nothing like I've ever seen. Even to trade our stock, like if you went in to put that type of money, you're going to move it. Like one click. And so you realize there is so much liquidity in Bitcoin. Ethereum also has a lot of liquidity, and then the other ones are smaller. But what I realized, go ahead.
What about Cardano ADA?
Yeah, Cardano's cool. I mean, it's they call it level 2 blockchain. Like you can aggregate transactions on there. There's this thing called gas fees with Ethereum. So like, if you want to do a smart contract on Ethereum or a transaction, it could be $15, it could be $50. So it's expensive to do the transaction, and you can use Cardano to like handle the transaction, then do one big transaction. So this has utility. There's a bunch of stuff out there. Ethereum, I think, is a safe bet. There's Ethereum too, but I think Ethereum also it has utility.
If somebody wants to get rich, you're saying go get File real quick. Is it going up or is it still low?
No, Filecoin, I can look at it, what's trading at. Let me see, I'll tell you 1 second. So Filecoin's still pretty reasonable. Let me see what I got.
Can you buy it on Coinbase?
Yeah, it's on Coinbase. That's where I bought it. So if I look
what about MILF?
I don't know that one. So Filecoin's at $88 right now.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Filecoin, SushiSwap, Compound, Litecoin, EOS, Uniswap, Stellar, Chainlink, 1inch. These are my holdings, and obviously Ether and Bitcoin.
Dude, why don't you screenshot those and give them to me? I'm just going to mirror yours. I don't understand it well enough to know what it does, but I do know that it's going to stick around. My biggest fear is like what China just did, start saying we're not taking it, and then the U.S. says we're not taking it. And matter of fact, it's outlawed and all this bullshit that we don't control. And now, in my opinion, that's why I value it so much. But at the same time, now what? Nobody takes it, it's worthless, correct or incorrect?
No. So, like, go back to Filecoin. Filecoin is in itself, there's a crypto economics, they say, that's the term, which is that it's a sort of a closed loop for you need to use the coin to use the service, to save files on these systems. And you mine coins by putting up these storage systems. So it has utility in itself. Things like Bitcoin, they don't. Bitcoin doesn't have utility. In itself, it's just the original concept of a distributed, whatever you want to call it, currency or whatever you want to call it. But China didn't outlaw. The thing is, I think people are confused about it a little bit from at least what I read, is that they just reinforced what was already said, and they reinforced it again. So it wasn't like they changed anything. And I don't think they would, because if you follow the story of crypto, there's a lot of Chinese companies involved with this. I mean, the main mining company, the company that creates these mining rigs, is Chinese. Like, some of the biggest mining operations for Bitcoin is in China. So like, and if I was the Chinese, I would want it to take off, because the best thing they could do if they want to get rid of the US dollar as the reserve currency of the world is prop these things up. And people are going to start to use them to make payments. They're going to start to use them to do things. Even the SEC chairwoman said, like, and she's into crypto, like, you can't outlaw it. It's distributed. There's no one. You can't shut it down. You can't go to a bank and say it's distributed. There's no place to go. It's on thousands upon tens of thousands of servers are maintaining the system. You have to shut all of them down around the world. So I don't know how you shut it down.
You'd have to shut down the internet.
You have to shut down the internet, and you'd have to figure out how to go to some country, from Pakistan to Bali to Australia, and basically find out who's got a server who's running a Bitcoin chain, and shut them down, because you'd have to shut down all of the mining rigs around the world. I don't think it's about that. It's volatile. It's a volatile thing because it's a baby, and babies are volatile.
They'll puke.
They puke. They get sick.
What about AI computation in Bitcoin? Because it says like there's only so many Bitcoin, and these problems get harder and harder to solve, and it takes more and more computing power. Why can't someone take some super AI and bam, mine all the Bitcoin at once?
The structure of how it's set up, it's like you can't always win. Like, you need the compute power anyway. I mean, they are trying to solve the equation. I don't know if they're using AI or you have to use a certain program to do it. That I don't know, but I don't think you get an edge, because you still need to use the computing power and electricity. And that's the other thing that I find so funny. I don't know if you hear this, but like this whole thing about electricity, like it's like the most idiotic thing. People don't get it. Just like Bitcoin's terrible because it wastes electricity. There's two stupid things that people say about Bitcoin. That's one of them. And they don't realize, like, it's mining. It's brilliant. Like, the idea was that mostly in digital, you can replicate things in mass. There's no end to replication. The genius behind Satoshi, this fictional guy who created this thing, thought power and computational power, like electricity, that's a limiter. And I'm going to make it harder and harder so I can reduce supply. And that's such a different, that's brilliant, because in digital, usually you can create billions of coins at once. It's smart. Like, if you go to mine gold back in the gold rush, I think you could find it at that time, like in the rivers.
Yeah.
Now to find gold, you got to dig. It's expensive to find gold. It's expensive to find platinum. You got to dig. But the first day you found platinum was at the Earth's edge, at the top. That's how you think of Bitcoin. They make it harder and harder for you to get to it digitally, and that's power. So people bitch about that, and they bitch about it that they think like terrorists and drug dealers use this. And I think terrorists and drug dealers use the U.S. dollar a lot more than Bitcoin to do bad things. If
Satoshi were an individual, what is it rumored he would be worth, or she?
I have it. Yeah, it's like 60. Satoshi.
Because doesn't he like reserve like a lot of freaking Bitcoin?
Yeah, right now he's got 1 million Bitcoins. So that would be 1 million at 55 or 50 something thousand, or whatever the trade is. Say 40,000 today is the trade. So that's $40 billion.
No, that's more than that. Maybe 40 trillion. Let's see. Is it billion or trillion?
I think
What's 40,000 times 1 million?
It's 40 billion. It's 40 billion. So he's worth $40 billion.
$40 billion just for inventing that shit. Why won't
you have to think about it? I mean, nobody knows who he is. Like the richest guy, one of the richest guys on earth, and nobody knows who he is.
Well, this is the part that I say he's the smartest one, because someone would have killed him, I think.
Oh yeah. I've met with some of these, the original people in crypto. And like the biggest fear is kidnapping and killing, because your money's not in the bank. Your money's in a wallet, a digital wallet. So if somebody puts a gun on you, think of this. It's really, if you want to kidnap, God forbid, you and I, to take, let's say, $10 million or $100 million, let's say $1 billion let's say we had $1 billion out of our bank accounts, that's hard. You don't go to the bank and say, can you put the billion in a bag and I'll take it? Or you call up your bank and say, can you wire $1 billion somewhere? There's all sorts of checks and balances like to prevent that. in this case, somebody holds a gun. They're like, I need you to take your wallet, your crypto wallet. You're going to take those coins and put them in my crypto wallet now. And you can move, think about that, billions of dollars in a single transaction into another person's wallet. And then they can move that to another wallet, all without borders, a phone call, nothing.
And it's untraceable, supposedly.
It's untraceable. You can see the transactions because they're on the chain, so you actually see them. But you're right. You can kind of keep doing wallets, and you can break it up. And so I've some of the people I've talked to who are, these are young people with a lot of wealth. The number one fear is like somebody, knows I've got what I have, and they're like, give it to me.
What do you think the number one use of AI is? Or will be?
The number one use of it, well, obviously, like the autonomous vehicle and the idea of self-driving cars is, I think, obviously the number one thing that we can see today. But, I go back to there's going to be an AI that'll be in our lives that will help us process many intentions. I want to take a trip somewhere. It helps me book it. So that's kind of, I guess that's where my brain is. I mean, AI will be used in many jobs to replace, many these jobs, but obviously in cars is one of the biggest things. I mean, managing your home, your work, your money. There's so much that it'll just be there to support us where today we don't have time. Part of it is, as humans, we look for technology to free us and give us more time back. And all the parts that you think I waste time, you should think about like we'll have some form of AI in it, like managing your money. Like managing your money is a time suck, and then you're relying on some human to take care of it. I mean, the idea of like something helping with that. Once again, I see there's all those types of support systems for you is where I see the most value.
If there was anybody that was kind of an innovator, how do you get into studying or R&D with AI? Like, what is AI? Is it just language? Is it a computer language?
No, I mean, it's basically there's different parts to it. There's the science part and there's the engineering part. And so data science is the art of and the idea that you can take large chunks of data. In our case, we've got conversations. So we generate about 80 million conversations a month on our platform. It's a very unique asset to us. And even Google doesn't have this for business conversations. This is what gives us our power. And then we have data scientists that build algorithms to understand, like, what are people talking about? And what are these conversations? And how do I replicate these conversations with the machine? And then there's data engineers that take those algorithms and then make them available so they can run and scale and be utilized through a consumer experience. Like in our case, it's messaging, or in Alexa's case, it's voice. And so there's all these two big pieces of our technology groups. And so you have to have an engineering degree or a science degree to get into the heart of AI. I don't have either. I just have visions and dreams about what the future could be. And then I work with really smart people who can deliver it.
Yeah, that's the right way to do it if you don't know how to do it. Listen, I know you got to get running. Folks, if you guys are smart, you're going to go follow this guy. You're going to go follow him on social media at Rob LoCascio. You can go to liveperson.com. You can Google him. He's hard to miss. He's been around for a long time, making a big impact out there. I like the crypto recommendation. I'm going to go pick up some of those just because, dude, I'll bet you $50 you're right. I love the idea of Bella Bank. I mean, I'm going to go. How do we do that again?
Go to bellaloves.me or go on any of the app stores to Bella Bank. But if you go to bellaloves.me, you see the website, and you can then download from there and then sign up. Yeah, sign up and be a part of it and join the community. We've got a big vision on this idea of loving and caring for people and be a part of it.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on board. Bomb Squad, go support this dude. Listen to the podcast Over the Wall. Hit him up, hashtag Bomb Squad. And as always, keep it real.
Dropping bombs with the real Bradley. Subscribe now.